Hello Triumph users, my name is James, and since we're approaching some of the hard mode events in our Let's Play, I thought I'd talk about one of my favourite events, the Frostmoon event. Now the Frostmoon event has many different waves, it has many different items, and it has many different monsters, but we're going to have to rank down our top 5 favourite drops from the Frostmoon event. So let's begin. Coming in at the number 5 slot is the Elf Melter. So back in the 1.1 days, I was a big fan of the flamethrower. I was really excited when I finally crafted this thing because it had been teased for a long time. However, I was very dissatisfied with it because it only does a low amount of damage. I believe that the actual max damage it does is 27. And so when you pair this with the Elf Melter, which does a base damage of about 44, you can see why I like it so much. You know, you can actually blitz through your world with this thing, and the use of gel is pretty nice because you kill slimes all through the game. You have no use for that gel really because you've already crafted your torches. You don't really need to keep lighting up your world. And so the Elf Melter comes along and it takes hold of that. Also, you know, you can make slime statues and make slime farms and all that. So ammo is never really a problem for such a high powered weapon, and that's why I like it so much. Coming in at the number 4 slot is the Christmas Tree Sword. Now I actually really like the Christmas Tree Sword because it's just festive. I like that every time you fire it, it fires a bauble, and every time you swing it, it's a tree. It's as simple as that. It's a high-powered sword that really takes advantage of being festive. You know, how deadly actually are baubles? Have you ever stepped on a bauble? It's pretty painful, because they're pretty much made of glass, so if you combine this in a sword, you can see why enemies run away from it. Coming in at the number 3 slot is the Blizzard Staff. Now the Blizzard Staff has a noble rank of being the second highest DPS for a magic weapon, and that makes it badass. However, I really like it because it reminds me so much of the Falling Star Sword that you get early on in the game. You know, they don't really take advantage of stuff like that anymore, you know. I want things shooting down from the sky to kill my enemies. This Blizzard Staff is a perfect addition to any endgame mage, any endgame wizard that's going to be using a lot of mana, going to be using a lot of magic. The Blizzard Staff is perfect, and it's great for big bunches of enemies. If you're going to be doing an event, you know, it's best to sit on a platform, bunch them all up together, and just take them down with this thing. It has a very high DPS, not that much of a mana usage, and it's just pretty awesome to look at. Coming in at the number 2 slot is the Razor Pine. Now as you can see, I've gone for a mana approach when I've been, you know, evaluating these weapons, but the Razor Pine to me is just amazing when taking down any boss. You see, if you want to go back and you want to do the mechanical bosses again because you want to farm for Souls of Might, or you want to take down the Twins or Skeleton Prime, then the Razor Pine is the item to pick. It has insanely high damage. You can use this with a lot of endgame items and just wreak havoc on everyone. Now the thing I also like about it is that it's not insanely overpowered. There is like a slight drop off if it gets too far. If you're shooting it too far, it does kind of droop eventually, just like the Vampire Knives, and I quite like that. I would hate it if it were just spanning across the map because it would just be too much carnage for the Razor Pine. I also really like it just because it's festive. I like Razor Pines and it works well. Now, coming at the number 1 slot is pretty predictable because it was actually my number 1 gun. It's the Chain Gun. Now the reason I like the Chain Gun is because it's insanely fast. Now you should probably watch that video if you want to see a big full explanation of why I love it so much, but let me just say this. If you pair this with Chlorophyte bullets that home in on people and you shoot that fast, you're going to tear through everything. Duke Fish Run, the new events, you're going to tear through the Lunar event when it eventually comes out. The Chain Gun is a fantastic weapon. Now since my number 1 slot was actually given to a weapon that I've mentioned in the past, I feel like it's time for some honourable mentions. So I'm also going to give an honourable mention to the Reindeer Bell. Now the reason I like the Reindeer Bell is because every time you use it, it summons a big Rudolph that you can ride around on. I really like mounts, I feel like they need to be fleshed out a little bit more, but that's a pretty cool drop. However, it would be a little bit better if it would drop before, because this is actually the final event, and I feel like a Rudolph would be better off somewhere else. Maybe not a Rudolph, but you know, something of that nature. I would also like to give an honourable mention to the Christmas Wings. Now the reason I didn't include them on my list, even though I really like them, is because there's a whole rank above them, like with the fish wings and stuff like that, and it doesn't make sense to me why a wings that are dropped in the final event are not as good as ones that you can get elsewhere. That just doesn't make sense to me. But there you go, that's been it for my top 5 list today. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to stay subscribed for more top 5 lists, news, reviews, let's plays, and more. Make sure to go check out some of the amazing videos that I've done this week. They've been pretty awesome. You know, I'm pretty happy with what I've done this week. Thank you all for watching. My name is James. Peace.